What is up? Welcome to episode 4 of EtsyJam. In this episode, Rachel from PaperBerryPress joins us and drops a bunch of Etsy gold nuggets about her growth plan, mailing list, marketing research, her workflow using Marmalead, the importance of ranking high in search instead of just focusing on views and favorites and sales, as well as insights into being a mompreneur. Welcome everyone to episode 4 of EtsyJam. And this week we have a special guest with us. It is Rachel from PaperBerryPress, and she will be talking about adventures of a mompreneur and how she got her start on Etsy, how she uses Marmalead in her workflow, and all kinds of other goodies. So without further ado, we'd like to welcome you, Rachel, to the Blab, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. I'm glad to be here today.
We're glad to have you. I guess to get started, do you want to talk a little bit about how you got started with Etsy, with crafting, and getting into that space?
Sure, absolutely. So to go back to 2013, I opened a shop. At the time, I had a full-time job. I was a teacher for 9 years, and I also was married and had an 8-month-old. And Etsy was really just a way for me to start kind of monetizing my hobby. So it started out as a hobby business. I made a few sales and really liked learning the side of business. It's been about 41 months that since I've opened my shop, but I've only been an active shop for 25 months and not continuously. I do have 3 beautiful children. My husband and I do. We have, our oldest will be 4 this month. We have a 2-year-old, and I have a 4-month-old. So,
oh wow,
needless to say, time is one of those things that is a hot commodity. And I always say, when people ask what I do, I say I'm now a stay-at-home mompreneur. And of course, my first priority has to be a stay-at-home mom, but the preneur part is also very special to me too. So yeah.
That's a good point. So, yeah, and you mentioned the time thing. Richie and I are both, I guess you'd say, stay-at-home dadpreneurs now.
Awesome, yeah.
What kind of tricks do you use when you're trying to find the time to work on the preneur part of that, when most of your time is probably consumed with the mom part of that?
Yeah, that's such a good question, especially with young kids, because I really don't have, there's a lot of noise online, I guess, is my point. There's so much good advice and content, but I didn't always fit the mold of that typical creative business person where I have this, infinite amount of time and schedule, and add that on to the internet telling you to be everywhere all at once. Yep. It was really hard. And I'll admit first and foremost that I am not, I'm a creative person, but I am not an organized person. And so when you add 3 kids to the mix, and they of course are little, they're not organized, it's hard to fit in all the demands of running a household with your husband or with your spouse, and also run a business. And so I really envy people that can have structure and schedules and routines, but sometimes that can be hard. So last year, I can tell you exactly when, in August of 2015, I made the decision. I said, I'm going to take my business seriously. And when I did that, I said, I need to stop the noise from the internet, and I really just need to look at what the Etsy platform has to offer me as an Etsy seller, and also to understand the buyer experience and how buyers find me. And if I can just understand those things and focus on growth and sales, the rest can fall into place, and I'll still have time to spend with my beautiful, precious babies. And it's worked out really well.
So what kind of triggered that? What kind of gave you that moment of enlightenment, almost, of figuring out, this is, all right, let's just ignore the noise and focus on these core things? How did you figure that out? Is that...
Yeah, I think I was being busy for busy's sake. I was definitely trying to be on every single social media platform and doing what people were telling me to do. If you want to make it on Pinterest, you have to pin 40 to 50 pins a day. And if if you're on Instagram, you have to, post 2 to 3 times a day. And Of course, now if you're on Instagram, it has to be pretty. It can't just be throw up some random pictures. You have to stage them. There's a lot of pressure out there, or so I thought. And I was really being busy for busy's sake and trying to focus on too many things and wasn't getting anywhere. And until I found something to really focus on that equaled results, that is what changed it for me. I created a growth plan basically.
Okay.
And so that's what I ended up doing. And it's all through Etsy. It's all through Etsy search. I don't hear a lot of people talk about the way I've done it. It's probably not for everybody, but it's definitely something to throw out there for others to decide if it's something to work for them that they can use in their business too.
So your growth plan, it sounds like, I have run into the same problem all the time, right? You're supposed to be everywhere doing all this different stuff. And it's like, you can just spend your entire life chasing down these things. But if you look at it, a lot of it doesn't work or get the result. So it sounds like you've focused on the things that get the most results. And you're saying that's Etsy search.
Exactly. And it really all changed for me when I said, I'm just going to focus on search and it really kind of changed everything when I learned about scaling a business, because I know last week y'all talked about the fear of failure.
Yes.
But I had the fear of success too, because in my mind, success meant that it was going to take up more of my time, to be successful, to get out more orders, to do more things. And so I was honest afraid of that. And so when I learned about scaling, it brought to the forefront the ideas of systematizing and, automating and hiring out. And I knew that there was things in place on the Etsy platform already. I mean, they are a big company, and they are even like public traded company. So I knew that they were going to have things for their sellers in place for us that we can utilize to help us as sellers. Because at the end of the day, they want to make a profit too, because they have shareholders to please. So really just stopping and looking at the buyer process, and we can go over that. It all starts with search. And again, just utilizing every piece of real estate that Etsy gives you, because they give us a lot of sellers, but I had never looked at it that way. So
when you're talking about the that fear of success a little bit too, it's interesting because I was watching Dan's blab that he does Mondays, and he had Renee Christine on there, and that's one of the things that she talked about hearing people say a lot too, is that fear of success and that uncertainty of getting started and not knowing, like, okay, is this going to take off? Am I going to have the time to deal with this? How did you overcome that when you decided to kind of focus on this growth plan?
Yeah, so at the time, like I said, I have a 4-month-old. So last August, I was pregnant when I decided this, and I knew the busy season was coming. It was kind of like, for any of those, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. So, the winter is coming. It was like, oh my gosh, the busy season's coming, and here I am pregnant, and I have to, I knew I was going to be 9 months pregnant in December. So I thought, man, I really need to buckle down and like have a plan. And that's kind of where the growth plan started. In January, I took a little hiatus with the new baby in February. But jumping back in, it's kind of ironic because now with 3 babies, 3 little ones, having less time has been my greatest asset, because now the time that I do have is focus time, and it's very specific on what I focus on. I will say that I do have a secret weapon, and it's not everybody has a secret weapon. I'm very blessed. Both of my parents and my husband's parents live very close to us, and they are a huge resource for me as far as with the kids. So my mother-in-law is amazing. She comes over twice a week, and she plays with the kids, and I get to come out and to my little studio and work on what I need to work on. So I do get a little bit of time. My husband as well, when there's free moments, he's really supportive and on board. So I have to say that is, the secret sauce to what I do is the support, because it also makes me, I have one of those mindsets of I I have to put them first or I just don't feel good about it. And so knowing that there's somebody there with them, that can kind of take the reins while I'm doing my thing is a good feeling. But for those that don't have that, it's still so doable. It's really just finding that time when you can work on it and just focusing when you do have those sort of moments, even if they're just in spurts, just knowing how you're going to focus that time and what comes next and breaking things, systematizing it. So breaking it down to simple tasks, things that don't take but 5-10 minutes that you can implement quickly and then just build upon that. That's always helped me. So,
That's
but
great.
I think, yeah.
Right, you're really blessed to have that type of situation too, where you can, put your kids with family like that and just take that time and know exactly what you're going to work on. That's really great.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that we can touch upon too is just understanding the buyer process, because that kind of came first and foremost. I know a lot of people say, you need to know your why, you need to know your who, which is huge. You need to know your target market. And for anybody that's never used Facebook ads, you A/B test on there. You just go find a YouTube video if you're unfamiliar with Facebook ads, and you can pinpoint, run some ads. You can pinpoint who your target market is if you're unsure, because you need to know who you're talking to. And that kind of drives your what you're producing and how you're producing it. But it's all through search. Using Marmalead, I knew that whenever I was starting my business as a business back in August, that I was going to need to hire out or automate things. And like Marmalead has been one of those things. And I've only been with Marmalead since March, but I've already leaps and bounds can see how it's really tied in nicely to my workflow, because that Etsy search, those titles and tags, you have to get found first. You can I think there's over 1 million Etsy shops on Etsy now, I think is the last stat I heard. I don't quote me on that.
1.6 million. It's a lot.
It's a lot. And there's a lot of great stuff out there that these people have to offer, but they've never made a sale because they're not being found. And so really just, I think targeting, and I knew that early on. That is how I found some success. Was I didn't have Marmalead yet, and I'll talk about how now that I have Marmalead, it is a time saver and it's upped my game. But I did know titles and tags were huge, so I was doing pretty good on being found. But once you're found, you have to have people view you or favor you, one or the other. That's the first yes that you get before a sale. You either have to have them click through or you have to have them favor you. And it's all about your pictures. And I know y'all said it, and y'all have you're going to have to remind me of
it's called Rock Your Photos.
Rock Your Photos. I haven't used it yet, but I'm really excited. But that is so huge. Like, I cannot tell you how big of a deal that is just to get found, especially because we live in a generation where I think we're scanners. Like, we're so used to just seeing images. We don't sometimes sit down to read stuff anymore. We're just really looking for images. And
reading's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I don't like to do that very much.
We need, we're so full of content. And so once they do click through, my number one goal is just to get them, if they're going to buy, that is fabulous, but not everyone buys on the first time. So just really having a good listing description, good copy that speaks to your ideal customer in their language, and promotes you, as a shop owner, but also enticing, persuasive and informative about your product. Because, and I think, I don't know if this is true, but I kind of feel like there's two types of shoppers. I kind of fall in the category of, I get on Etsy, I know what I want to search for. So I use the search and I refine my search. And while I'm viewing the page or two or three, I may favor some shops by hearting them. I may open a few, but when I do view, I really am just looking at the pictures and the price and the shipping time and the processing time. Like that's pretty much all I'm doing. Like, I just don't sit to read. But it's really one of those things I really had to understand that not everybody shops like me. Like, there are shoppers out there that they need to be sold, and they need to be sold through your copy and your listing descriptions. And so taking the time to really optimize that is really important, because it's really the only time they get to kind of hold that product. And one of my mentors, Lisa Jacobs, from Market Your Creativity, she is so good at copy, and she always, this is straight from her, but she talks about how on online sales, you go from, if you go to a regular store, you get in the store, you mentally picture the item in your home or wearing your item. And then you can go to the dressing room, try it on, or you can purchase it. You know where you're going to put it in your house. You have this mental image. But as an Etsy shop owner or an online sale, you really have to paint that picture for your customer. So you can paint that picture through photographs, but also through your copy. And so that's huge. So I think those are definitely the top 3 things I knew that I only needed to focus on. And then looking at the Etsy platform, I just had to systematize and optimize everything they give me. That includes, on your shop page, fill out everything and every piece of real estate they give you. Your about page, all 5 pictures on your about page. And I shouldn't say this. I haven't done my video yet, so I'm breaking my own rule. But
I was about to ask about that.
Video now. Yeah, I haven't done that yet, so I do have to do that. But there's a lot of things on there. If you can possibly fill up your shop with the 25, I think it's 25 now, 25 images or listings. Don't be afraid to A/B test new products and make multiple listings of the same product. If you have to, if you don't do one of a kind, you have that option. It's great. And I'd also say the biggest one is the marketing that comes in with Etsy SEO. So there's Etsy updates that you can use, which is kind of like a Facebook. It kind of reminds me of Facebook, where it's just an image, and you can write a little blurb about whatever the product is. It links directly to an Etsy listing, and it pops up right in your search. So it's kind of it's a nice thing for buyers to see. It adds some social proof. With your reviews are huge, having that social proof. But you can create your own luck also with PR. And I've found a lot of success through that, just through Etsy search. So that's really how I've marketed since August, and I feel like I've not found a secret formula, but I found something that's working for me and my lifestyle, and it feels good.
You mentioned targeting your ideal customer and speaking their language. I think that's a hugely important point, and I think lots of Etsy sellers could benefit from doing that. But how did you go about doing that? How did you identify who your ideal customer was?
Yeah, so I think I resonate a lot with my ideal customer. I'm a 34-year-old mom. When I design things that I like. I have a younger sister as well. We're 6 years. There's a 6-year difference, and so I can get her feedback on a lot of things. One of the ways I did it, like I talked about, was on Facebook, just to double check. But I knew who I wanted my target market to be. But actually, through Etsy Facebook, I figured out that sometimes who I thought in my mind was my ideal customer actually wasn't. And I thought I had a larger range. I knew women, especially, were big on my products. For those of you that don't know PaperBerryPress, my pitch. This is my pitch. I've been practicing.
Let's hear it.
Okay. We provide words of wit and wisdom through smile-provoking. I'm going to get this. How did it go? I practiced this morning. Through smile-provoking, mouth-watering, and now I've ruined it. That's what you do when you practice a pitch. I've never had to pitch before, but it's basically, I'm a stationery shop. I sell gifts, goodies. and papery goodness. So stationary giftable items is my big deal. So yeah, just I knew that I had a large women audience. I thought the range was going to be, 23 to 65, but through doing a few ads several times, A/B testing on Instagram as well, but mostly on just Facebook, which, by the way, the two are linked now, so it's really pretty easy. I found that my ideal target market is women. They're either from urban areas or they're in the South, southern states, and they're normally between the ages of 23 and 34. And you can really pinpoint even more so into specifics on Facebook. I mean, it's kind of a little scary how much Facebook knows about all of us. But it's great from a marketing standpoint. And again, I was a teacher for 9 years. I taught math and science. I think Etsy SEO makes sense to me because it's kind of that left brain thinking for me. But I've had to build my marketing muscle. I don't know much about marketing. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I didn't know much about that. So it's nice to have the Facebook marketing to do that. But also just looking at look at what cities when you get your orders, look at what cities, what areas, what regions, are they male or female? Are they, for my purpose, sometimes I can tell if they're sending it as a gift because they'll ask for gift notes or don't include the receipt. So I can use all of those things to my benefit. I also market. I'm on social media platforms. I use if then. What is it? If then that. Yes. I think it's ift.com or something like that. So I have them linked up where I can just post on Instagram and it'll post to Twitter and Facebook. I don't recommend that if you're really trying to get your traffic to drive from one of the social media platforms, but it's a way for right now that I can kind of be places without to spend much time. But a lot of the social media channels are for starting conversations and building relationships. And I really feel like, Etsy, even Pinterest, they're really just search engines. People are using them as search engines like a Google. And they're just very specific with their content or with what they offer. And so actually understanding that has helped me to come up with my marketing. I now focus more on my big focus right now is with marketing is I look for trends. So right now, this is a great tip for anybody that has to pre-plan product development is get on Instagram or Facebook or any of the social media channels that you prefer and look up trade shows. Look up NY Now. Look at, like for me, National Stationery Show. Look up these big shows because they happen months before trends start because they're selling to retailers. And so look at things that they're offering, like right now you're going to see a lot of things on Instagram. They have marble backgrounds, well, that came out. I started noticing on Instagram on trade shows like last September. So ask yourself, is this a trend that I could use in my product development or could I stage my products using this trend if it fits into my brand? Those are things that you can definitely do. They're easy to implement, and it'll give you a kind of a leg up. And I'll tell you what, if you can start, like if I was going to use Marmalead and there's a trend coming up, let's say it's flamingos. I'm just going to say flamingos. And flamingos are a hot thing. You can already tell everybody has stuff. They're going to come out next summer. It's about a year away and everything's going to have flamingos on it. Well, all you have to do is get on Marmalead, start targeting your keywords now, get on keyword comparison and start looking for how you can optimize your products that may have to do with flamingos. Of course, you have to it has to be relevant because if people find, you can't just rank high for a keyword, but your product's not relevant. They're not going to click through. but if it's relevant, yeah, you can start ranking for that keyword now. And then by the time it rolls around, when everybody else is riding the wave and they're months late, you're going to be first in line. It's like, it's just something to start thinking about. Because that's what I wholesale as well on Etsy. And that's something that is a little trick of the trade. So
that's pretty clever.
Yeah, that's a great
tip.
Yeah.
Why try to make the market when, you can just go with what's already happening. Like you said, be first in line. That way, by the time others catch up, you already have that momentum. You're already the top seller.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And some trends don't take off. Like this year, Pantone, I'm sure y'all know about Pantone, the colors. They introduced two colors. One's like a bluish and one's a pink. And the pink one is like, pink is everywhere. Like this, it's like a blush pink. And the bluish, the lighter bluish, it's some places, but that blush pink is everywhere. And so, and you see it with big retailers follow that trend. So it's really, and I would say that even with marketing, like when you're making your marketing plan, mine specifically works with Etsy search, but if you're going to do any type of marketing through any type of platform or social media, don't be afraid to look at what other people are doing. In no means do I mean copy. You definitely don't want to do that, but you definitely want to see, even the big retailers, like what are they doing? And even when you're on Facebook and you're making ads and you're targeting, like if I was going to put an ad out on Facebook, I'm gonna utilize big retail businesses as part of my marketing plan. When I'm like I know that somebody that shops my shop will most likely also shop. Let me think, like Lily products, or they're big into planners, or they're I can use big names like Kate Spade, or, I can use other retailers within my marketing to help with that. And so it pinpoints and it targets exactly who I am. If I was a mom, I would be focusing like Parenting Magazine, or, if I had sold parenting products or something like that. I mean, you can utilize that to your ability within your marketing, and you can look and see what they're doing. So, but yeah,
that's smart. I mean, those big brands, they spend millions of dollars of their money in research trying to figure out what works. So see what's working for them. I love that. See what's working for them, and borrow some of that research and see how you can move it to work with your brand. Because why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. Yeah. Now, you've mentioned your growth plan a couple of times. Can you tell us a little bit about what the growth plan is?
Yeah, so I really focus on 5 things. Part of it is having a growth plan and knowing when I do monetize enough and I need to put back into my business, where I'm going to put my money where my mouth is to run this beautiful business that I've created. I also need to know I have processes in place. So those are the 2 big ones. And then the 3 is product development, product management. So just like maintaining my listings, and then sales, and that's it. And so those are the things I focus on. Systems is probably the biggest, because for me, time is everything to me. So like I've talked about. So within Etsy, there's lots of things you can do. Like within combos, there's a thing called snippet. You can create a snippet. Like right now, I don't take custom orders. So I created a snippet that says, hey, so sorry, unfortunately, unfortunately, I'm not carrying custom orders right now. So very sorry about that. And so I can just press the snippet button and it automatically pastes that message into Etsy combos. Super time saver, right? And so also, like, there's some paid things that you can do as well within Etsy. So Etsy right now has 4 paid products that you can utilize. You can use let me see if I get all this. The new one's Pattern. I haven't done that. But they do have the promoted listings. I do use that. And normally what I'm seeing is I'll spend about, for every $1 I spend, I get back $3. So it's worth maybe tinkering with if you have the money if you're willing to put into that. So that's one way I do market on Etsy. The other is shipping labels. It's great to buy them right there because they already know the weight of each of my products and they know the size box I'm going to send. And it's so simple. If you can just take the time to create shipping profiles, it will save you big time. Huge time saver having that in place. The other one, what is the other one, guys? Gosh, what did I say? There's one more that's a paid. I'll think about it. I'll get to it in a minute. Completely slipped my mind. But Marmalead is one of the areas that I utilize that Etsy doesn't offer. Another one's like Dropbox. Starting a mailing list is really important because I do put almost all my eggs in one basket. It's all in Etsy. So the big thing right now is, what if Etsy automatically, the aliens come and it disappears? Are you going to be able to stand on your 2 feet, right? And everybody's like, start a website. So I did. I'm on Shopify and I spend a lot of money to be on Shopify. And I have to drive my own traffic and I don't know how to do that. On Etsy, there's I don't know, like millions and millions of viewers that just naturally come to Etsy. I don't have to drive any traffic. I just have to be found in search. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I would say email is a great thing to build though. You don't have to have a website. You can just have a mailing list, like get a free MailChimp account and they give you kind of like a landing page because you get a link to sign up for your mailing list. So you can just use that and speak to your customers through email. It doesn't have to be 40 to 50 pins on Pinterest and post to Instagram 3 to 4 times a day. It's what you want to make of it and where you want to be and where your customers are and how they like to be talked to and where they like to hang out. I focus, when I do my social media, I focus on Instagram because that's where my target market is. But as far as the growth plan goes, it really is just a repetitive cycle of just, have systems in place inside Etsy, outside, such as Marmalead. It doesn't take much, and just repeat those cycles of product development and product management and sales. Product management, product development, sales. And as you start gaining traction and momentum, you naturally get into this constant, steady movement and growth. And that's the hardest part to get past. Once you do that, you just keep doing that as a cycle and you'll see some results. But you do have to have a growth plan in place, such as knowing what you're going to invest in, like Marmalead, and have some processes. I think that's the biggest one. Like Christmas, I know that's my busy season. So Christmas comes around, I hire out, I have this wonderful friend that comes over for about 3 weeks and she helps me with packaging. So that's kind of how I do it.
Nice. Well, that's fantastic. It's nice to have a friend that you can hire to help you out too.
It is. I will say
hang
that.
out, get some work done. They get some extra Christmas money. This is good.
This is good. Yes.
So as far as using Marmalead, let's drill down on the system a little bit there. What does your workflow look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm lazy. I'll tell you that. I told you I'm unorganized. I'm kind of a lazy person. And
Perfect.
So if I have to work too hard for something, lazy people actually make the world go round because that's where good ideas come from. So I use iOS and I'm a Mac user, but this will work for PC users or Android users. The first thing I do is once I purchase Marmalead, I put it on all my devices. And what I mean by that is I get on the internet, I sign on, and I add to my home screen. So I have it on my mobile device on my home screen. It's as simple. If I don't know how to explain it, how to do it, but it's very simple. Oh, I think we lost Gordon.
Uh-oh.
I think he's gone. He's like, this girl talks way too much. I'm leaving. So, but yeah, all I do is I just add it to home screen on each of my devices. You may have to sign in every time, but it's right there for you. So it's as simple as now, instead of getting on the internet and logging in, I can just, it's as simple as I click on the button. My next workflow is I got a Dropbox account, and I have that on all of my devices as well. And so what I do is my workflow would be, I would get on Marmalead, and I would go to the keyword comparison, and I would search for some keywords first. And then I take a screenshot. The great thing about taking a screenshot is it's going to timestamp that screenshot. So I know the date in which I did those searches. And I put it into my Dropbox. So in my Dropbox, I have a little, don't use you. Can y'all are more tech than me. What is Dropbox? How do you explain it to somebody?
That's a great question. How do you explain it? It's a cloud-based file sharing application, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and you could, it's like, and storage too. So you can it's like having your PC everywhere with you all the time. So if you put it on all your devices, it's with you all the time. So no matter which device you're on, you can drop things into it, and you can pick them up on other devices. So I'll take snapshots. So if I'm at waiting for a doctor's appointment, I can get on my phone, or if I have my tablet, and I can get on Marmalead and do 5 minutes, do a few searches for, say, I sell coffee mugs. Those maybe some coffee mug long tail keywords or some things, and I just take a screenshot. And for those of you that don't know a screenshot, I'm not sure how Android, but it's super simple on a phone, an iPhone. On an iPhone. So yes, so it's definitely something you can do. If you're unsure, YouTube it. Everything is on YouTube, I swear. So just search it, Google search. It's there, right? Somebody's written about it. So just take a screenshot, and then I drop it into Dropbox. I have a little file that says Marmalead, and then I have each of my products. So I have one that says coffee mugs, greeting cards, or whatever. Then I drop that screenshot into, say, if I was doing coffee mugs, into my coffee mugs. So then when I get time, I can look at all the keywords that I've targeted. And then when I'm ready to get into my listings, I have them all right there. And I also use your fabulous worksheets. And if you're already on Marmalead, why are you not using the worksheets? It's amazing. I actually, when I purchased Marmalead in March, it's funny, I created a worksheet similar to what y'all had. Y'all's is way better, by the way. And then y'all came out with it. I'm not kidding. A few weeks later, and I was like, they are reading my mind. Like, wow, they have read my mind. No, y'all's are way better, because y'all's are systematized better than I knew I wanted something in my head, but I threw it on paper, and I was using it as a way to track. But your system is great. And so those of you that are already on Marmalead, this is a great opportunity to use these worksheets, because it's so systematic and step by step. It's a no-brainer. You don't have to be good at this stuff. You just follow the steps. The one thing I love about Marmalead is it does all the heavy lifting. I had already been doing this stuff, a lot of the stuff that Marmalead offers, but it's so much more in depth. I mean, y'all get so much more information than I could have ever perceived or had to do myself. It would have taken me so much longer, because there's so much research that you have to do. But the best thing is, when you get into that in Marmalead, the keyword search, the very top icon on the left, and you search for a targeted keyword that you want, and say you're on page 1, that's great. You can look at the views that you have, but what other people have too, and you can see their pictures, and you can click over and see what they're doing. So you can really compare yourself to the people that are also ranking. I had one item that I thought was doing well, and then when I looked at the same keyword, the people around me were doing way better. So I had to really think about, okay, so it's not, I'm being found on search, but now I know it's two other issues. It's, since I'm not getting the views, it's most likely pictures, right? So I knew that I needed to change my main listing picture. And I can A/B test that. I can change it for a month and see if it improves, and using the worksheets. So that's part of the workflow as well. I also love your trending. I don't think people use the trending. I can see how people might not use the trending, but guys, take a screenshot of the trending, which is the bottom icon of Marmalead, and they'll timestamp it. So think of this as this is the long game of marketing. You want to see what's trending now because a lot of things are seasonal. So see what's trending at this very moment, so that next year, when next year rolls around, you'll have an idea of, okay, these were the hot keywords for last year. So when did they start popping up? When did Mother's Day stop popping up? It was probably before Mother's Day. How early did it start trending? So you can really start to curate a collection of information that's going to be really powerful for you.
That's a great tip. Excellent. Yeah. Screenshotting things. I really like that. I've never thought about that before. The trending also. Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, things are cyclical. So, definitely if you holiday type stuff, right? When you start to see those trend, chances are next year it's going to happen, give or take around that same time.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, as far as marketing goes, because I've been found high in search, especially with a few items, it just takes a few. I've never pitched to a company, but I've been featured in several places online, BuzzFeed, Bustle. I've been featured on self.com, glamour.com, ink.com, which is a magazine. It's a great magazine. You should be reading it. Blogs. One of the biggest was Cup of Joe. I have a celebrity that has my mug, and he has it posted on Instagram. Hunter Hayes. If you're a country singer, yeah, you can go to Hunter Hayes's Instagram account, and there's one of my coffee mugs that he got. That's a really cool, fun story. Yeah. And even Etsy's bought from me. I sold a boatload of pencils for an Etsy wedding event that they just had. So Etsy, the actual Etsy company, was one of my customers. And then it automatically put me in the editor's picks. So just because I was found in search, I had yummy pictures with great copy. That's all it took. Because again, Etsy, not everybody getting on Etsy is looking to buy. There's a lot of people that are getting on there that are looking for content. They're writers, they're bloggers, they're people that are having events. They need to find unique things that they can promote to their audiences. And so they use it as a search engine. So remember that. It's a great place to utilize, to be high in search and to have those things in place.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. So this has been a really great episode. You've dropped a ton of knowledge that I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy. Thank you for sharing so much of it. You've been very upfront about everything you do, which is great. Obviously, a lot of success there, which is awesome. Great to hear from it. And we can all take away a lot of great information. I'd like to grab a question over here from the right. It's, how do you get people to join your mailing list?
That's an awesome question. So I have two things in place. The first is within my listing. I'm really big on repeat customers. So I really want to get people on my mailing list because that's the best way to do that, unless they've favored you and you stay within. Every time somebody favors you, they stay in your feed on your homepage. So that's a plus. But the mailing list is the most popular way to talk to your ideal customer. So I have a little coupon code within the listing that says, hey, before you buy, you can save 10%. Sign up here. But people don't read because hardly everybody ever utilizes. It's just like a little bit.ly link. But they hardly utilize that. And so I've also hooked up, I use Aweber, and I use Aweber specifically because they integrate with Etsy. And so if somebody purchases something, I have a second chance to get that email in front of them. If they didn't catch it in my listing description, now Aweber will notice that they purchased and will send them a little email like, hey, would you like to join our mailing list? So I get a lot of people that way. But yeah, that's how I do it. And then on my social media accounts, I try to change out my links there and add it there. But I would say the majority of it is through the actual listing.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for your time. We should probably get wrapping it up, let you get back to your barn studio.
Yeah, it's
oh no.
it's about to rain, so that'd be perfect. I'm a big talker. I'm sure I went way over on time, people. So if you hung around, thanks. But I definitely was a teacher before, and I still have a passion to teach. So any way I can help anybody else
that's fantastic. Yeah, you've been a great guest. You've shared a ton of information. So we definitely really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Gordon, you want to wrap us up?
All right. We'll see you guys next time on EtsyJam.